Imagine this. You wake up in the morning, already tired. You grab your phone, scroll through social media, compare your life with others, and before even brushing your teeth, you're already stressed, anxious, and drained. Sounds familiar? Now imagine a morning where you feel centered, energized, and grateful. Not because your life is perfect, but because your morning is intentional. My dear friends, how we start our morning is how we live our day. And how we live our day is how we shape our life. If you truly want a different life, don't start with big resolutions. Start with your mornings. Because success is not hidden in big moments. It's hidden in small habits. Today, I want to share with you 5 powerful things you can do every morning. Simple, but life-changing. These are habits I've practiced, learned from monks, and seen transform thousands of lives. So if you're ready, let's begin your transformation. One morning at a time. In the chaos of our modern lives, silence has become a luxury. Most of us wake up with an alarm, already rushing into the day, our minds bombarded by thoughts of pending tasks, social media notifications, or the tension of yesterday's unresolved conversations. But what if the first voice you heard every morning wasn't the noise of the world, but the calm whisper of your own inner being? Starting your day with silence is not about being passive. It's about preparing your mind before you meet the world. When you open your eyes in the morning, your brain is in a theta state, a calm, meditative frequency between sleep and wakefulness. This is the most powerful time to sow the seeds of clarity, peace, and purpose. But what most of us do is hand over this sacred window to scrolling, reacting. Imagine if a farmer was given the most fertile soil and he chose to plant weeds in it. That's what we're doing when we give our first thoughts away to noise. A simple practice of sitting silently for even 5 minutes can transform your day. Not meditation in its most complicated form. Just silence, sit up in your bed, let your feet touch the floor, close your eyes, breathe, and just be. You'll start to hear things you've forgotten. Your breath, the morning birds, the hum of life itself, and more importantly, you'll begin to hear yourself. That voice inside that's buried under opinions, likes, emails, and deadlines. Let me share a story. There was once a young man who went to a spiritual master and said, "I want to hear God. I want to understand my purpose." The master smiled and handed him a glass of water, filled to the brim. He said, "Walk around the ashram with this glass. Don't spill a drop." The man did exactly that, carefully and cautiously, eyes on the glass, completely focused. After a while, he returned. The master asked, "What did you hear?" He said, "Nothing. I was too focused on the glass." The master nodded and said, "That's exactly your problem. Your mind is always overflowing. There's no room to hear anything divine. Silence is not empty. It is full of answers we are often too busy to hear. And you don't need to go to a mountain to find it. You can create it right where you are. A quiet room, a few intentional minutes, no music, no mantra, just presence. Some of the greatest ideas in the world didn't come from board meetings. They came from silence. Newton saw the apple fall not in the middle of a party, but in quiet observation. Einstein once said, "The monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind." Even Steve Jobs, a man of technology, took silent walks to think deeply. In silence, we not only find creativity, we find balance. Most of us react to situations because we haven't paused long enough to respond thoughtfully. That pause, it's found in silence. When someone cuts you off in traffic, you snap. When your child spills milk, you shout. But a person who begins the day with silence becomes a reservoir of calm. We consider the person who speaks and the person who speaks. We consider the person who speaks and the person who speaks. We consider the person who speaks. We consider the person who speaks. We consider they don't react, they respond. They don't echo the chaos, they diffuse it. And there's another miracle in silence: it builds intimacy with yourself. When you sit in silence, you begin to observe your own mind, the worries, the regrets, the hopes. They all surface. And slowly you learn not to run from them, but to face them with kindness. You learn to be your own friend. Anxious in the morning, and my answer is always the same. Before you check the world, check in with yourself. Sit in silence. Don't ask for anything. Don't judge anything. Just witness. Because when you begin your day connected with yourself, you become unshakable. The emails, the calls, the deadlines, they still come, but they don't decide your mood. You've already decided it in silence. One of the most profound things I've learned in my monk life is this: you can't control the world, but you can prepare yourself to face it. And silence is your armor. Not the armor that makes you rigid, but the kind that makes you resilient. So tomorrow morning when you wake up, resist the temptation to rush. Don't grab your phone. Don't jump into noise. Instead, breathe. Just be. Allow silence to greet you like an old friend. And in that stillness, you will discover a powerful truth. The most important conversations happen in silence, not with the world, but with your soul. Begin with silence, because in that sacred stillness, your best self is waiting. There's a beautiful saying: gratitude turns what we have into enough. In a world where we are constantly reminded of what we lack, the better job, the bigger house, the more luxurious vacation, or the seemingly perfect life of others on social media, it's easy to forget the beauty that already surrounds us. Practicing gratitude every morning is like cleaning the lens through which you view life. The dust of comparison, complaints, and negativity slowly fades, and what emerges is a clear, beautiful picture of abundance that already exists in your world. When you wake up, your mind is fresh, and in that freshness there lies an opportunity to choose what seeds you will plant. Seeds of stress and rush, or seeds of gratitude and contentment. Writing down 3 things you're grateful for every morning may seem like a small act, but it can shift your entire perspective. Gratitude is not just about acknowledging blessings. It's about training your mind to see them more often. When you practice gratitude deliberately, your subconscious begins to notice more things to be thankful for throughout the day. Let me share a story. A young man once came to a spiritual teacher and said, "I feel miserable. Nothing good is happening in my life." The teacher gave him a piece of paper and said, "Write down 10 things that you have right now that someone else may be praying for." He hesitated but began. "My parents are alive. I have both eyes. I can walk. I have a roof over my head. I had food this morning." And slowly the list grew. By the time he reached number 10, tears were in his eyes. The teacher smiled and said, "Your life didn't change in the last 5 minutes, but your awareness did. That's the power of gratitude. This morning habit can be as simple as a notebook and a pen. You don't need to write essays. You can simply note, I am grateful for the sunlight streaming into my room. Or, I'm grateful for my mother called to check on me yesterday. Or, I'm grateful for my breath, steady and strong. These things may seem ordinary, but it's the ordinary things, when lost, that remind us how truly extraordinary they were. Think about the last time you were sick with the flu. Didn't you think to yourself, I wish I could just breathe normally again? Now that you can, are you celebrating it? The beauty of this practice is that it begins to change the questions we ask ourselves. Instead of, why don't I have more? We begin to ask, how can I value what I already have? Instead of looking at others and feeling envy, we look at ourselves and feel appreciation. And this shift is not just spiritual, it's scientific. Studies show that people who practice gratitude consistently are happier, sleep better, have stronger immune systems, and even form deeper relationships. Why? Because when your heart is full of thanks, your energy changes. People feel safer around you. You become a source of positivity in a world full of complaints. I remember once being in a village where people had very little, no fancy clothes, no smartphones, not even electricity in some homes. But every morning, even monks who live in the Himalayas with minimal possessions practice daily physical movement, whether it's walking meditation, stretching, or martial arts. Why? Because they understand that a still body can make the mind restless, while a balanced movement of the body brings serenity to the mind. The movement is not about vanity, it's about vitality. Let me share one more example. A mother of two who rarely had time for herself decided to do just 3 minutes of movement every morning while her tea brewed. She would do jumping jacks or sway to music or just stretch deeply. That 3-minute ritual became her anchor. It gave her a sense of me time. Her kids saw her doing it and joined in. What started as a personal act of wellness became a family ritual of joy. That's the ripple effect of caring for your body. It inspires others too. When you move your body, you're also releasing chemicals like endorphins, natural mood boosters. These don't just make you feel good, they make you feel alive. They reduce anxiety, fight depression, and improve focus. So while the world is looking for happiness outside, in likes, in success, in approval, you are generating joy from within. And the most beautiful part, it doesn't matter what your age is, your weight is, or your fitness level is. The goal is not perfection, the goal is connection. Connection to this divine instrument that allows you to see, speak, walk, hug, breathe, and experience the beauty of life. So tomorrow morning, before you dive into the rush of the day, take a moment. Move, breathe, dance, stretch, walk. Just do something that tells your body, I am here, I am alive, I am grateful. Because when you move your body, you move your life. You shift from surviving to thriving. And that shift, my friend, can transform everything. Every morning when you wake up, your mind is like a fresh garden, untouched, unspoiled, full of possibility. But here's the truth. Whatever you plant in that garden in the first hour of your day will grow throughout the day. If you plant seeds of stress, fear, anger, or negativity, that's the energy that will take root and shape your thoughts, emotions, and actions. But if you choose to plant seeds of inspiration, wisdom, and hope, those seeds will bear the fruit of peace, clarity, and purpose. And the simplest, most powerful way to do that is by reading or listening to something positive as the very first nourishment for your mind. You see, just like we need food to energize our body, our mind also needs food, not junk food made of gossip, bad news, or toxic entertainment, but soul. When you begin your morning with something uplifting, whether it's a short devotional, a motivational podcast, a meaningful book, or even one powerful quote, you're not just passing time, you're programming your brain for how it should think, feel, and respond during the day. Let me share a real-life example. There was a young college student who used to begin every morning scrolling through social media. Within 10 minutes, she would feel anxious. She would see people traveling, looking perfect, getting promotions, and she would feel like her life was not enough. One day, her teacher gently asked, "What do you feed your mind first thing in the morning?" She paused. "Instagram," she said sheepishly. The teacher smiled and said, "Just try changing that for a week. Read something uplifting instead. Feed your mind before the world feeds it for you." She took the advice and started reading 2 pages from a self-help book every morning. Within days, she noticed her thoughts became calmer, her self-worth grew stronger, and her emotional responses more grounded. What changed? Not her life, just the direction she was looking in. When you read or listen to something positive, it's like inviting a wise friend into your heart every morning. Someone who reminds you you're enough, you're growing, you're capable. And sometimes one sentence can shift your entire mindset. A line from the Gita, a verse from the Bible, a quote from a great leader, or even a simple reminder like, "You've survived 100% of your worst days. You're stronger than you think." These words become like morning medicine for the soul. I once met a man in Mumbai who ran a small tea stall near a school. Every morning, before opening his stall, he would read one quote from a little tattered book of wisdom. I asked him, "Why do you do that?" He smiled and said, "Because my work is the same every day, but I want my thoughts to grow every day. This book reminds me to be kind, to be patient, to serve with love." His life was simple, but his spirit was rich. That's what positive input does. It lifts the spirit no matter what your surroundings are. And in today's world, where negativity is just a click away, you have to be intentional about feeding your mind with the right content. Because whatever you consume, you become. If you fill your mind with news of crime, arguments on the internet, or drama-filled content, your mind will carry that energy into your interactions. But if you start your day with wisdom, laughter, stories of kindness, or deep spiritual insights, your mind becomes like a calm lake, peaceful, reflective, strong. You don't need to dedicate an hour to this. Even 5 minutes of reading something meaningful or listening to an audio of a spiritual teacher or motivational leader can reset your entire vibration. It's not about quantity, it's about quality and consistency. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't skip it, not because you want to whiten your teeth every day, but because you want to prevent decay. Similarly, reading or listening to something positive every morning prevents the mental decay that happens from unconscious exposure to chaos. In our ancient Indian traditions, the first words uttered in the morning were mantras, sacred vibrations that tuned the mind to gratitude and focus. Today, your mantra could be anything that reminds you of your purpose. A line like, "Today, I choose peace over perfection," or "I am growing, I am learning, I am enough." Repeating it while you sip your tea, or writing it in a journal, or playing a short inspiring video while getting ready, all of these are modern forms of ancient wisdom. The truth is, your life will never rise higher than the quality of your thoughts. And your thoughts are largely shaped by what you expose yourself to every day. So protect your mornings. Make them a sacred time. Create a little ritual, maybe a corner with a good book, a calming playlist, or a podcast that speaks to your spirit. Let your mornings be less about catching up with the world and more about catching up with your inner self. Because when you start your day with something positive, you don't just carry knowledge, you carry energy. And that energy walks with you into your meetings, your family interactions, your decisions. It reminds you of who you are and who you're becoming. And that, my friend, is a powerful way to live. Not by default, but by design. Not just by doing more, but by being more. Not just reacting to life, but rising with it. Every single morning, every morning, before you pick up your phone, before the weight of the day begins to settle on your shoulders, pause, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and think of 3 things, just 3, that you're genuinely thankful for. It might sound like a small act, even too simple to matter. But this little shift can change your entire day, your entire mindset, and slowly, your entire life. Gratitude is not just about saying thank you. It's about recognizing the extraordinary. It's about realizing that the things we often take for granted, clean water, a heartbeat, the ability to breathe, a roof above our head, people who care about us, these are not small things. These are miracles in motion. The moment you start your day with gratitude, you stop chasing happiness and instead start experiencing it. There's a beautiful story of a boy who used to complain every morning that his school was far, the bus was late, the lunch was boring, the last few minutes of his miracle. He late one day, his father took him to a nearby hospital before school. There he saw a child of his age in a wheelchair, unable to walk, yet smiling brightly. He saw another child battling cancer, weak and pale, but still doing homework. The boy was silent on the way home. That evening, he packed his bag without a fuss. The next morning, he said thank you to his mother for breakfast. Something changed. He saw his life through the lens of gratitude, and that lens made everything appear brighter, more meaningful. Gratitude doesn't erase your problems, it just shifts your focus. When you focus on what's lacking, you feel frustration. When you focus on what's already present, you feel fulfillment. And the power of this shift is so deep that psychologists have proven over and over again. People who practice gratitude regularly sleep better, feel less stress, and live longer. I remember meeting a woman in her 60s who had lost her husband and lived alone. She had arthritis and couldn't walk without support. But every morning she would sit by her window, watch the sunrise, and write down 5 things she was thankful for. She smiled and said, "Because every breath is a gift. This morning I could feel the warmth of tea in my hand. I could hear the birds sing. I could still write with my fingers. That is enough." I walked away, not pitying her, but feeling inspired by her. That's what gratitude does. It turns pain into wisdom, lack into contentment. In the rush of our daily lives, we often forget how blessed we already are. We wait for something big to feel thankful, a promotion, a vacation, a reward. But the truth is, if you can't find joy in the small, you'll struggle to find it in the big. Life is lived in moments, not milestones. Gratitude teaches you to honor the now, to find beauty in the breath you're taking this very second. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine waking up tomorrow and instead of rushing into your tasks, you sit for 2 minutes and think, I'm grateful for my bed. I'm grateful for my eyes that opened today. I'm grateful for the silence of this early morning. Then you carry that energy into your routine. Your coffee tastes better. Your interaction with people becomes warmer. You're more patient in traffic. Why? Because you're not looking at what's wrong, you're grounded in what's right. You've already won the morning by winning your perspective. Even in difficult times, and we all go through them, gratitude can be your anchor. You may not be grateful for the pain, but you can be grateful in the pain. Grateful for the strength it's building in you. Grateful for the lessons it's teaching. Grateful for the people who show up for you when things are hard. Sometimes the deepest gratitude comes not from comfort, but from clarity. The clarity that nothing is promised and everything we have right now is a gift. In our Indian tradition, we are taught from a young age to say Dhanyavad, thank you, not just to people, but to life, to nature, to God, and to even those moments which challenge us. Because we believe that every experience carries grace, whether sweet or bitter. That practice of gratitude is not just a moral habit, it's a spiritual one. It aligns us with the present, humbles our ego, and opens our heart. Try writing a gratitude journal every morning. Just 3 lines. Today, I'm grateful for. And don't repeat the same things daily. Find new reasons. Look deeper. Some mornings it might be the sound of rain. Other days, the smell of breakfast, or a text from a friend, or simply the silence that allows you to reflect. You'll soon realize that your life is not empty, your awareness was. The most beautiful thing about gratitude is this: it multiplies. The more you practice it, the more reasons you find to practice it. It's like tuning your mind to a frequency where abundance lives. And once you're on that frequency, even a simple cup of tea can feel like a celebration. Even a quiet morning becomes a treasure. So tomorrow and every day after, begin with gratitude. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are willing to see the perfection in what already is. That shift alone can turn an ordinary morning into an extraordinary life. And that, my friend, is the power of a thankful heart. Imagine waking up every morning, not just to go through the motions, but to truly lead your day like a skilled captain steering a ship across vast. Most people start their day being pulled in every direction. Messages, notifications, family demands, urgent emails, and they react to life. But those who take even just 5 minutes in the morning to plan their day with intention are the ones who live with clarity, direction, and purpose. Because when you don't plan your day will plan you. Planning your day isn't about controlling every minute or becoming overly rigid. It's about bringing awareness into how you want to live each moment. Just like a builder doesn't construct a house without a blueprint, or a musician doesn't perform without tuning their instrument, you shouldn't enter your day without a roadmap. And that roadmap doesn't need to be fancy, it just needs to be clear. Let's take an everyday example. A young man working in a corporate job felt overwhelmed every single day. He'd start by checking his phone, get lost in news and social media, then jump into meetings, and by noon, he would feel drained and unproductive. After attending a self-development seminar, he began a simple habit. Every morning, after brushing his teeth, he would sit down for 5 minutes and write down 3 things. What's my top priority today? Who do I need to connect with today? And how do I want to feel at the end of today? And how do I want to feel at the end of today? And how do I want to feel at the end of today? That small change transformed his energy. He felt more focused, more grounded, and slowly his results began to improve. He wasn't doing more, he was doing what mattered. Planning your day with intention is about owning your time. Time is the one resource you can never get back. Every day is like a blank page, and your thoughts, actions, and choices are the ink you use to write your story. If you don't decide what to do with your time, someone else will. And often it's filled with distractions, obligations, and tasks that leave you feeling empty. But when you plan with intention, you step into the role of the creator. You shape your hours, your emotions, and your results. There was a wise monk who once said, if you spend 10 minutes sharpening your axe, you'll save hours in cutting the tree. Planning is that sharpening. It saves time, energy, and stress later in the day. And the beauty of it is, it doesn't require high IQ, complex systems, or expensive apps. Just a notebook, a pen, and a quiet moment. Start by asking yourself, what are the 3 most important things I need to do today? These should not be your entire to-do list, just the top 3. If those 3 things get done, you can call the day a success. Then ask, how do I want to show up today? Maybe today you need patience. Maybe today you want to be more present with your loved ones. Maybe today is about creativity. When you set that tone early in the morning, your brain begins to filter everything else accordingly. Let me give you an example from my own experience. There are days when I wake up with a whirlwind of tasks, meetings, talks, messages, but when I take just 5 minutes to breathe and plan, I find myself centered. I write, today I want to focus on serving others with full presence. And suddenly, every interaction, every word, every action flows with that energy. My schedule may be the same, but my intention changes everything. This habit is also an antidote to stress. Often, we feel anxious not because we have too much to do, but because we don't know where to start. Planning gives you clarity, and clarity reduces anxiety. Instead of feeling like 1,000 tabs are open in your mind, you can focus on one window at a time. It gives you peace. It gives you power. Even spiritual masters begin their day with sankalp, a vow, a resolution, a direction. It's a sacred reminder that life is not to be wasted, that each day is a gift, and how we use it is our gratitude. You don't need to plan your entire month or year. Just today, just now. You can even make this a sacred ritual. Light a candle, sip your tea, sit by a window, take a few breaths, and ask. Technical issues, emotional conversations. But when you start the day with intention, you're not shaken easily. You bend, but don't break. Because you started the day from a place of awareness, not anxiety. In a world full of distractions, planning your day is a rebellious act, a beautiful rebellion. One that says, I will not be a prisoner of busyness. I will be a master of my moments. It's not about squeezing every drop of time for maximum output. It's about aligning your actions with your values. So tomorrow morning, before the rush begins, sit down, breathe, reflect, write, plan, not to control the day, but to connect with it. Because the person who plans their day with intention is not just living, they are leading their life. And that, my friend, is a life worth living.